This Part 3 Episode 79. The Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament had reached the round-robin stage, and the Tang sect finally caught a breather after facing 2 consecutive tough opponents. They defeated the next 4 opponents they faced easily. With their immense abilities, they managed to make their way to the top of their group after winning 6 out of 6 matches. They had 1 foot in the quarterfinal. Besides the Tang sect, there was another team in their group that won all their matches. Shrek's team. In the first 5 matches of this round-robin stage, they had snatched easy victories. Under Wang Chioa's leadership, and with their extraordinary abilities, they managed to overcome the Clear Jade sect, too. It was also on that same day that the team and vice-team leaders, Kane and Schwebing, were unfrozen. However, the Tang sect didn't know that Kane disappeared after the Clear Jade sect was eliminated from the tournament. The Tang sect didn't depart the venue after they easily won their 6th match. They sat in the VIP resting area, all of them with serious expressions on their faces. The next match was the clash of the day. The most established 2 teams in the history of the tournament were about to fight against one another. On one side was the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, who had won 4 out of their first 5 matches under Xiao Hongchen and Meng Hongchen's leadership. On the other side was Shrek, led by Wang Chioa. For both parties, this fight wasn't just about the qualifications for the next round. It was a life-and-death battle, a battle of glory. Wang Chioa slowly stood up. She didn't walk towards the waiting area. Instead, she turned around and looked at her teammates. "Do all of you remember what I mentioned yesterday?" she asked. Yes. All of Shrek's team members acknowledged her words. They sounded very excited, and the rest of the teams in the waiting area were drawn to them. Not only were the spectators monitoring this match, even the rest of the teams were watching this match very closely. Shrek's reputation was too well established. The reputations of both academies meant that this face-off between both teams was bound to be an extremely intense one. Dai Huabin was closest to Wang Chioa. Right now, his eyes were burning as he looked at her. It was as if she were his idol, his enthusiasm was bordering on fanaticism. It wasn't just him. Everyone from Shrek recalled what Wang Chioa had said yesterday. "Tomorrow, we are going to face the Sun Moon team. Do all of you know why the Tang sect gave up against them in the earlier round, but fought them in the first match of the round-robin stage? Let me tell you. It's because the Tang sect was afraid that we would lose. They did their best to weaken the Sun Moon team and give us a greater chance. Tell me, do we need them to create this fighting chance for us? We came here for Shrek's glory. If not for the fact that Shrek's 7 monsters are representing the Tang sect, we would only be substitutes. During the last tournament, I wasn't even at Shrek Academy yet. But I heard of their performance. They were only substitutes then. What happened? They brought back the title. Let me ask all of you, do all of you have the heart of a champion? We are members of Shrek, the glory of Shrek, and the radiance of Shrek. Our advancement will not arise because of anyone's help, but our own abilities. Tomorrow, I'll tear the skin off whoever dares to look down on us. Do all of you understand? We are not only going to show the Sun Moon team why we are strong, we are also going to show the Tang sect that they can't underestimate us. Let's show them that we are champion material. We'll win tomorrow's fight. Shrek will win." Wang Chioa's wild words were still ringing in the ears of every member of Shrek's team. Her voice, which inspired their passion and excitement, raised their fighting spirits to unprecedented levels. So what if it was the Sun Moon Soul Engineering Academy? So what if it was the Tang sect? They were representing Shrek Academy, a team that had never lost this tournament before. They were fighting for Shrek's glory. Right now, they could finally chant this slogan in front of everyone. Every time they thought of this, their auras would turn ferocious, and their fighting spirits were fired to the limit. Wang Chioa saw the fire in everyone's eyes and nodded. She said evenly, "Follow me." After she finished speaking, she turned around and faced the stage. As she turned, her gaze met Hu Yuhao's. As their gazes met, Hu Yuhao saw the look of perseverance in her eyes as she led Shrek's team towards the stage. In terms of individual abilities, Lan Susu and Lan Luo were only some of the best in the outer courtyard of the academy. They only had 4 rings, and were only soul ancestors, they hadn't made it into the inner courtyard yet. But Wang Chioa had chosen the 2 of them to compete in such an important match, and left out Wu Feng and Xia Huanyue, who were both in the inner courtyard. Hu Yuhao was more shocked that Wu Feng didn't pose any objections, even though she was such a proud character. He couldn't see any dissatisfaction from her. Impressive, Wang Chua, Hu Yuhao complimented her in his heart. He had to admit that Wang Chua's leadership skills were very strong. She was able to easily handle her bunch of tough and arrogant characters. He couldn't claim that he was at her level. On the other side, everyone from the Sun Moon team also entered the waiting area. Xiao Hongchen and Meng Hongchen looked very serious. To the two of them, this was also a life and death battle. Their clash against the Tang sect had left them depleted, and they now had no choice but to use their substitutes. Even though Xiao Hongchen and Meng Hongchen were very strong, the overall ability of the Sun Moon team had dropped. Their main mission was to remove all obstacles for the Sun Moon team. Xu Qianran had personally explained this plan to Xiao Hongchen and Meng Hongchen. If they met the Holy Ghost sect in the finals, they would be the champions. Since his words were so obvious, it was very easy to tell what he was suggesting to the both of them. Both Hongchen's siblings knew what Xu Qianran expected. Today's match was more important to them than the last tournament. After all, last time, they weren't the core of the Sun Moon team then, even though they had lost to Shrek's team in the finals. They weren't commanding their team, either. However, it was different this time. They were representing the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, the illustrious Virtue Hall, their grandfather and the entire empire. They couldn't afford to lose today's match. Xiao Hongchen sat down in the waiting area. Even though he knew that the current Shrek's team didn't consist of the best talents from Shrek Academy, he was still very nervous. Their performances had been only so, and they didn't really impress anyone that much. The only person worth taking notice of was their team leader. However, there weren't any Soul Emperors apart from her. Compared to the Tang sect, their abilities weren't that impressive. However, Xiao Hongchen's heart felt very heavy today for some reason. It was like how he felt when they faced the Tang sect. Don't tell me this team is able to threaten us. If we can't even beat a second-rate team, then... As he thought until here, Xiao Hongchen couldn't help but clench his fist. His fighting spirit soared. Elder brother, calm down, Meng Hongchen said to him. Okay. Xiao Hongchen took a look at his younger sister. This time, Wang Dong wasn't their competitor anymore. Meng Hongchen was indeed very normal. Younger sister, let's do our best today. We must win today. Meng Hongchen smiled. She was much more confident than Xiao Hongchen. Elder brother, this is only Shrek's second-string team. Don't worry, we'll win for sure. The resting area. Ever since Wang Chua had left, Hu Yuhao had started to ponder a lot. He suddenly raised his head and said, I understand now. Wang Donga was puzzled as she looked at him and asked, what do you understand? Hu Yuhao said, I know why Chua came up with this lineup. Brilliant. The Sun Moon team is definitely in trouble today. Wang Donga gently strangled him and said, can you not be so mysterious? Hu Yuhao chuckled and replied, if you let me kiss you, I'll reveal everything. Wang Donga rolled her eyes. It's fine if you don't want to tell me, but be careful tonight. Hu Yuhao snapped, what are you going to do tonight? You are not even accompanying me to sleep now. Don't tell me you are going to chase a cripple off the bed. HMPH. Wang Donga came up with a scheme, and revealed a captivating smile on her face. If you can guess what I'm going to do, I'll sleep with you tonight. On the other side, a tall and large youth from the Sun Moon team also jumped up onto the stage. He hadn't appeared when they had fought Tang sect. Evidently, he was one of the substitutes. It's indeed Wang Chua. Yuhao, you are brilliant. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but exclaim. Xu Qianran had an epiphany, I understand too. In fact, Chua should be the first to fight. It wasn't just him who had realized what was going on. He Kaitu's eyes also had a look of revelation as he smiled. It was just that he didn't utter a sound at all. He Kaitu and Hu Yuhao were already among the top 6 in the underground tournament. In the next round, the top 3 would be decided. It was tonight. If they made the top 3, they could represent the Duskwater Alliance in the finals of the tournament between the 3 different organizations. They had earned quite a lot of money in the first few rounds of the tournament. It was a pity, however, that they had only obtained some rare metals. While they had several million gold soul coins, they were useless if they couldn't be used to purchase rare metals. Shrek, Wang Chua. Wang Chua was still wearing a veil. Her powdery blue hair flowed behind her back. Although her appearance couldn't be seen, her large, beautiful eyes, as well as her captivating figure, still left a deep impression in everyone's minds. Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, Tang San. While he was very tall and large, he didn't have much flesh on him. He gave everyone the impression that he was a bag of bones. There was even a weird sense of eeriness about him. Both parties, please step back and prepare for the match. Jing Zhon instructed. He even skipped the part where he was supposed to ask both parties not to hurt the other party. He knew it was futile. Wang Qiu'er turned around and walked to her position, and Tang San did the same. Wang Qiu'er stood at her position and watched her opponent. She squinted and revealed a dim, mysterious light in her eyes. Tang San was also staring at her. However, he was smirking. His mouth suddenly enlarged, and he grinned so widely that his lips almost reached his ears. He revealed white teeth and blood-red gums. It was an awful scene. If it was any ordinary lady, she would have screamed in fear. However, Wang Qiu'er looked very calm. Jing Zhon lifted his right hand up high and looked at both parties before shouting, "Match, start." Wang Qiu'er immediately moved when Jing Zhon announced the start of the fight. Everyone heard a muffled sound coming from the stage. The soundproofing barriers around the stage were unidirectional. The noises from outside couldn't be heard inside, but the noises from the inside could be heard on the outside. Wang Qiu'er burst forward like a golden cannon shell as the muffled sound reverberated out. Wang Qiu'er was very ferocious in the earlier rounds, but she hadn't gone too overboard. However, she revealed a different aura today. After Tang San unleashed his first soul skill, skeleton expansion, Wang Qiu'er had already arrived in front of him. With the terrifying strength that Wang Qiu'er possessed, she could easily slide 100 meters through the air. A huge golden fist hurtled toward Sanshang's head. A dangerous gust of wind swept towards his face. Tang San only felt an uncomfortable feeling in his chest before golden lights shone brightly in front of him. What's this rhythm? It's too quick. Isn't she supposed to be an assault-type soul master? Why is she faster than an agility-type soul master? Tang San subconsciously ordered his skeleton to block his body. A pair of thick skeletal palms clawed towards Wang Qiu'er's fist. Dodge? Was that even Wang Qiu'er's style? Dream on. Boom. Her fist crashed against the skeletal claws. The skeleton wanted to shut its claws, but it couldn't do so. Cracks started to appear on its hands, and extended from the finger joints down towards the wrist. Wang Qiu'er made a half turn in the air, and her right leg chopped down like a whip. She can't be so quick. Tang San almost spat out blood. His skeleton wasn't something that he summoned, but his martial soul. Since his martial soul was injured, he also suffered from the backlash. He didn't even manage to retrieve a soul cannon before Wang Qiu'er's leg came crashing down. This time, Tang San learned from his earlier mistake, and quickly retracted his martial soul. The broken right hand of his skeleton disappeared. Wang Qiu'er's leg struck nothing, but it generated a gust of wind. This gust of wind seemed like a raging tornado in a mountain valley on a chilly winter night. Sanshang's shirt was drenched with cold sweat in just a short span of time. Even as her leg struck nothing, Wang Qiu'er didn't retract her power. She directly struck the ground, and used the momentum to bounce back up. She aimed her left knee toward Sanshang's chest. Tang San was so depressed right now that he wanted to die. He was a soul engineer. It was a bad thing to be so close to a soul master. Moreover, his opponent was Wang Qiu'er. He wanted to scream and beg her to give him a chance. Would she do so? Yes, but in his next life. A layer of golden light rose from his body, as he used his invincible barrier to protect himself. Bang! The golden light from the invincible barrier undulated slightly, and Tang San was scared pale. Was she really going to destroy his invincible barrier, too? This time, he saw another streak of golden light in Wang Qiu'er's hand. Following this, the streak of golden light pierced through the invincible barrier. The golden light caused the barrier to be destroyed, and Tang San felt his soul power expended completely. Jing Zhon was monitoring their fight. Just as the invincible barrier was destroyed, he was already in front of the two of them. From the bottom of his heart, he greatly admired Wang Qiu'er's violent fighting style. Brilliant. She completely disoriented her opponent the moment she struck. It was a pity that her opponent represented the Sun Moon Empire. There was likely to be a team fight after this. As the referee, he had to do his best to prevent any bloodshed. He struck his palm against the golden light, but he didn't use too much force. After all, he was a title Doluor, and couldn't overly affect the proceedings. If he depleted Wang Chua's abilities too much, it would be very unfair to Shrek's team. However, he quickly retracted his hand when his palm contacted the golden dragon spear. He was horrified. He felt the flesh on his palm dissolving when he touched the spear. Although he used his soul power to stop this feeling, he was still stunned. His palm was still effective. After all, the spear was struck by the palm of a title Doluor. However, it still managed to pierce through Yi Sanshang's shoulder. When Yi Kanzhang saw Xingzhon, he felt very relieved. Referee, you came at the right time. However, his entire body stiffened when the spear stabbed through his shoulder. His soul power was completely depleted after he had suffered Wang Chua's series of attacks. He didn't have any excess soul power to resist the power of the golden dragon spear. By the time Xingzhon reacted and pulled Yi Kanzhang away, his entire chest cavity had already caved in. There wasn't a drop of blood on the spear, but golden lights kept on surging towards Wang Chua. Devouring. The life devouring of the golden dragon spear. The life power that she drained replenished her body. Although it didn't really help to restore her soul power, it was very effective at restoring her energy. Throughout the entire fight, Wang Chua had relied on her ultimate strength. Xingzhon glared furiously at Wang Chua. However, Wang Chua didn't even look at him. She turned around and walked towards the center of the stage. Everyone from the Sun Moon team stood up. Someone had just died again. Yi Sanshang's abilities weren't ordinary. However, he was only able to release a single high-power cannon shell. Meng Hongchen jumped onto the stage. They couldn't be depleted any further. Otherwise, they were going to be like the Tang sect, with insufficient members to compete. If that happened, how were they going to fight in the team round? Meng Hongchen was about to become the second competing member of the Sun Moon team. The Hongchen siblings had already planned it out. Yi Kanzhang would be the first to compete, and he would test their opponent's abilities. If the opponent was too strong, Meng Hongchen would be the next to fight. They couldn't allow their opponents to deplete them any further. Meng Hongchen turned tense as she looked at Wang Chua. It was evident that she had also been holding back in the earlier rounds. Otherwise, she couldn't possibly defeat an elite Class 5 Soul Engineer of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy in such a short span of time, even if she was a six-ringed Soul Emperor. Wang Chua's gaze was still as sharp as ever. It wasn't any different from before. Her face wasn't red, and she wasn't panting. It looked like she hadn't fought at all. She grabbed the center of her golden dragon spear, the tip of it pointed diagonally towards the ground. She was so icy calm that she seemed like a statue. This was the golden dragon lady in her peak state. Her terrifying explosiveness had once defeated Ji Juechen in one strike. How strong was she? Without having any understanding of her, it wasn't possible for Yi Kanzhang to resist her attacks. Even as Xingzhon intervened, he still died under the hands of the golden dragon spear. Hui Yuhao revealed an icy, divine light in his eyes. He folded his hands in front of his chest as he watched the fight. He knew that his guess was right. Hui Yuhao's guess was verified. Why did Wang Chua go first? If she managed to beat 3 consecutive opponents, she had the right to ask for the team round to start and give up on the rest of the individual fights. With her dominant abilities, she could deplete her opponent's abilities yet conserve her own fighting strength. In this way, Shrek's team would have a greater chance of winning, since they had Dai Huabin and Zhu Lu, as well as the Lan sisters, who all possessed martial soul fusion skills. This was undoubtedly the best strategy. Hui Yuhao couldn't think of a better strategy for Shrek's team. However, Wang Chua had to take on a lot of pressure if they used such a strategy. Not only did she have to fight 3 people in one shot, but she still had to lead the entire team in the team round. From the start until the end, she would be under a lot of pressure. Could she handle it? The Sun Moon team didn't repeat their mistakes against the Tang sect. They sent Meng Hongchen in the second individual elimination round. This individual round might have a great impact on the entire tournament. Everyone from the Tang sect sat up straight and silently waited for this fight to begin. Not only did Wang Chua have to defeat Meng Hongchen, but she had to defeat her completely. It wouldn't be easy. Match start. All the spectators cheered when they saw her 6 soul rings. Previously, Wang Chua had shown how dominant she was. Her aura was so suppressive that the spectators couldn't catch their breath. Right now, Meng Hongchen showed that she wasn't inferior to Wang Chua, and managed to release everyone from Wang Chua's domination. Meng Hongchen's first and second soul rings shone concurrently, and an icy blue ring suddenly spread from Meng Hongchen's feet. She had already made her mind up. Isn't your attack very strong? All right, I shall use my defense to slowly wear you down. No matter what, you'll enter the domain of my ice venom ring. No matter how strong you are, you'll still be poisoned if you don't have the ultimate ice like Hui Yuhao. Even if I can't beat you in this round, you'll be unable to fight in the team round once my vermilion clear ice toad's poison acts up in your body. When that happens, the Sun Moon team will win. Meng Hongchen was very clear-headed. Against someone like Wang Qiu'er, who was very adept at close combat, she was the best weapon against her. However, Meng Hongchen and even Jing Zhon were stunned when Wang Qiu'er didn't initiate an attack. As a close combat soul master, she didn't intend to advance. She took a step with her left foot, and her upper body made a half turn. She lifted her golden dragon spear to her shoulder with her right hand and stretched it out. Meng Hongchen suddenly felt an indescribable and terrifying aura around her body. When she looked at Wang Qiu'er again, she saw Wang Qiu'er's eyes glowing strangely, and her entire person seemed to turn blurry. The two tips of her spear were emitting blinding golden lights. The golden lights even condensed to form sparks that appeared extremely threatening. Wang Qiu'er's entire body started to emit blinding golden lights. A layer of golden scales spread from her spear and extended throughout her entire body. Very soon, the scales engulfed every part of her body except her face. Of her 6 soul rings, the first 2 were shining brightly. Among all the spectators, only Hui Yuhao knew what they were. They were Wang Qiu'er's first soul skill, Golden Dragon Body, and her second soul skill, Dragon Strength. She didn't hesitate any further. She quickly ended her first 2 soul skills, and an icy blue suit of armor quickly covered her body. Her entire body was under the protection of this armor. This time, it wasn't a weapon that appeared in her hands, it was an icy blue shield. It was at least a class 6 or greater soul tool. Meng Hongchen felt slightly better for a moment, but she was horrified to discover that the golden dragon head formed by the sparks on Wang Qiu'er's body was about to change into a true golden dragon. She had been given too much time to accumulate her power. Meng Hongchen made the wrong call because of what had happened in the last round. She knew why she had made a mistake. This Wang Qiu'er was simply too cunning. She isn't just strong, she even knew what I was thinking. Meng Hongchen clenched her teeth, as she knew that Wang Qiu'er had almost finished accumulating her power. Once she erupted, it was bound to be a lethal attack. Even Jing Zhon was starting to get nervous. He wondered what effect Wang Qiu'er's attack would bring about. The strength unleashed by the golden dragon spear frightened him. Was it the kind of power that a soul emperor could unleash? Her spear wasn't any form of soul tool, but its strength wasn't lower than a class 8 soul tool. No wonder Shrek Academy was the top academy in the world. Who? A low-pitched dragon roar sounded out, and the huge dragon head finally rose. The dazzling golden light formed its body, and its terrifying aura made everyone shudder. Meng Hongchen took in a deep breath, and layer upon layer of icy blue light started to rise from her body. However, they looked very insignificant compared to the glorious and terrifying gold from Wang Qiu'er. Jing Hongchen couldn't remain seated anymore. He stood up suddenly and watched the fight anxiously. His expression changed. How's this possible? How can Shrek Academy have such a strong competing member? He didn't know how strong Wang Qiu'er's golden dragon spear was. However, he was very familiar with Jing Zhon. The first barrier that Jing Zhon enacted was a class 7 defensive type soul tool. It was strong and extremely resilient. It was a type of barrier that only Jing Zhon possessed, that could resist any weapons that were flung at it. However, that class 7 soul tool could only briefly stop Wang Qiu'er's attack before it was crushed. Right now, Jing Zhon was using an extremely strong soul tool that he had relied on to become famous, the Divine Unbreakable Shield. It was a class 9 soul tool. But from the looks of it, it didn't seem like the shield had gained the upper hand. In terms of quality, it didn't seem to be better than Wang Qiu'er's streak of golden light, and the golden dragon that accompanied it. Meng Hongchen's face was very pale right now. She knew that if she hadn't chosen to concede defeat, she would have faced this horrifying strike. Not only would she have been killed, she would have been obliterated. The clash between gold and white lasted for a few moments before things died down. The streak of golden light also slowly revealed its original form. Wang Qiu'er's golden dragon spear. Wang Qiu'er was still standing where she was, and as the light faded her figure was slowly revealed. As she moved her right hand, the spear turned into a streak of flowing light and returned to her palm. Her golden scales also faded away. Jing Zhon heaved a sigh of relief and lowered his head to look at the divine unbreakable shield. He was horrified to find a slight indentation in the center of the shield. Shrek wins the second individual elimination round. Jing Zhon announced the result without any hesitation. In the waiting area, the other 6 from Shrek Academy were all standing up. They were extremely excited. Wang Qiu'er had crushed her opponents in 2 consecutive fights. In the second fight, Meng Hongchen didn't even manage to attack before she conceded defeat. It was a great morale booster for all of them. However, Hu Yuhao furrowed his brow and gently shook his head. What's wrong? Wang Donga asked. Hu Yuhao said, how depleted do you think Wang Qiu'er is? Wang Donga was intelligent, and immediately guessed what he was thinking. She shouldn't have used too much in the first fight. Her first opponent was far weaker than her. However, it's different for Meng Hongchen. Her vermilion clear ice toad was very difficult to deal with. Qiu'er was obviously targeting her strategy. She only had one goal, to kill her even if the depletion of her soul power was great. However, Meng Hongchen was too cunning, and backed out at the last minute. Hu Yuhao nodded and said, she's indeed cunning. She only conceded defeat after Qiu'er attacked. She couldn't stop after she unleashed her attack, and it was more like a duel between her and the titled Doluo referee. While Meng Hongchen lost this fight, she wasn't depleted or hurt at all. This isn't a good thing for Shrek later. I just wonder how depleted Qiu'er is. From the strike just now, I believe at least 40% of her soul power has been depleted. The accurate number was actually 50%. Wang Qiu'er stood quietly on the stage, a look of regret in her eyes. She had been confident in her attack, but she was duped by her opponent. Although she won, she knew that she had lost to her opponent in terms of tactics. Along with the earlier fight, around 60% of her energy had been expended. Even though soul power wasn't everything for her, who had the ultimate strength, the team round would still be affected if she overexerted herself. The golden dragon spear was stabbed into the ground in front of her. 2 milk bottles appeared in her hands. Rings and rings of soul power were undulating around her hands. Using 2 milk bottles to restore her soul power. Those who noticed this scene were astonished by her. No one dared to use 2 milk bottles of the same class at once. She needed to guide the soul power in the milk bottles into her body continuously before it could fuse with her soul power. If she sucked in soul power from 2 sides at the same time, how should she guide it? Even a titled Doluo wouldn't do something as crazy as that. However, Wang Qiu'er did. She was able to do so because of her extremely strong body. On the Sun Moon team's side, Meng Hongchen left the stage and instructed the next competing member with a few words. After that, she discussed things with Xiao Hongchen and the other members, and gave something to this member before he got on stage. Both parties, please step forward and report your names. Jing Zhon was already in the center of the stage. The heartbroken look on his face hadn't faded away yet. The cost of purchasing rare metals to repair the unbreakable shield would be an astronomical figure. How could he not be depressed? It was the main class 9 soul tool that he used. Shrek, Wang Qiu'er. These 3 words were destined to be greatly imprinted in everyone's mind today. Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, Ding Xiaobu. This young man from the Sun Moon team was quite short. He was a head shorter than Wang Qiu'er, and was extremely skinny. He was like a skinny monkey. Both parties, please step back and get ready to start. Wang Qiu'er was squeezing the 2 milk bottles with both her hands. She wasn't walking very quickly, but slowly taking her time. Her soul power was slowly being restored through the milk bottles. Jing Zhon's lips twisted a little. She was stalling for time. However, he didn't rush her. He had personally blocked her strike earlier on, which was in fact unfair to her. Meng Hongchen had made a tactical surrender. Under normal circumstances, she should have at least used her invincible barrier to protect herself, which would deplete some of her soul power too. However, this was the Sun Moon Empire. Jing Zhon had earned his reputation based on his fairness, so now he felt a little guilty. That was why he didn't hurry Wang Qiu'er. Ding Xiaobu wasn't rushed at all. As he slowly walked back, he seemed to be arranging things on his body. As long as he didn't retrieve any soul tools, no one could stop him from meddling with his own clothing. Wang Qiu'er took almost a minute to get to her position. She stood straight, turned around and put her milk bottles away. Her gaze also started to become more focused. At least on the surface, no one could tell that she was depleted earlier. Begin. Ding Xiaobu moved. After Jing Zhon announced the start of the fight, he quickly leapt to one side. He was very deft. Behind him, at least 15 streaks of lights flashed. All of them were soul thrusters that had been meticulously placed on his body. An agility type, close combat soul engineer. Wang Qiu'er also moved. This time, she didn't unleash all her strength. She pulled the golden dragon spear out of the ground and chased after Ding Xiaobu. She was very quick. 1 layer, 2 layers. 2 layers of golden light were released from Ding Xiaobu's body at the same time. The spear stabbed him. However, it only raked across his invincible barriers. Ding Xiaobu's invincible barriers retracted, and the spear wasn't able to penetrate through 2 closely linked invincible barriers immediately. Ding Xiaobu exploited the momentum of the spear to jump back. He made a half turn in the air, and his soul thruster propelled him away from Wang Qiu again. Idiot! Wang Qiu realized what the Sun Moon team had given Ding Xiaobu. They had given him their invincible barriers. However, was it possible to use two at the same time? This was evidently a special method invented by the illustrious Virtue Hall. Everyone knew how expensive invincible barriers were. They gave those who had them a second life. However, even the best invincible barriers could only last slightly above 10 seconds before they broke down. Ding Xiaobu used two at the same time, which was equivalent to spending a large sum of gold soul coins. The Sun Moon team was using money to crush Wang Qiu and deplete her abilities. Wang Qiu stopped chasing after him. She knew that she couldn't overcome his defenses before his invincible barriers lost their effect unless she used the throw of heaven and earth like she did earlier. She didn't chase him, but Ding Xiaobu came in to provoke her. He lifted a black cannon to his shoulder before firing a black shell at Wang Qiu. The shell blew apart in the air and turned into a huge black web that seemed to be covered in grease. Speed, harassment, and invincible barriers. These were the three things the Sun Moon team thought of to deal with Wang Qiu. What they wanted to do in this fight was to deplete her as much as possible. Wang Qiu could concede defeat. She had already won 2 fights. It would be fine for her to concede defeat to conserve her abilities. However, she needed to beat one more person before she could request to end the individual elimination round and start the team round. If Wang Qiu conceded defeat, Ding Xiaobu would continue to remain unstage. Whatever happened next was likely to disrupt her plan. More importantly, what kind of person was Wang Qiu? For a character as proud as her, how could she allow herself to be led around by the nose by her opponent? The sharp gaze in her eyes flashed repeatedly before she raised her spear. A red glow shone from her eyes. Following this, the soul power that she unleashed was covered by an additional layer of red light. Ding Xiaobu only felt that his opponent had turned into a prehistoric, ferocious beast. He became slightly tense. As he looked at Wang Qiu again, he saw that her eyes had turned completely blood red. Her original powder blue eyes now spread fear. Wang Qiu swung the spear in her hands, and 2 streaks of golden red light flashed out. The black web coming towards her was destroyed. This video will end here.